And welcome to the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Sturvin Michaels and featuring Mikey and Ollie of The City Is Ours.
It's killing me, I'll be honest. Another day without you will be the death of me. Will be the death of me. Will be the death of me. What are these thoughts and feelings? Were they with me all along?
What is up, guys? What is up?
Yo.
Ooh, how's it going?
It is going well. Just a wonderful, dreary Thursday here in the middle of Kentucky. How about you guys?
About the same.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
It's very grey, and that's not normally surprising for England, really. So there you go. So
I hear that's kind of the status quo over there, isn't it?
oh dude, it's a great man. That's what we're about. So at least we like to keep it consistent. So no complaints made there, at least.
I'd almost take it, man. It's been too sunny over here for me. You know, I stay in the studio most of the time, so I'll walk out and I fry like a vampire, man.
I can relate, unfortunately.
So tell us a little bit about this band, The City Is Ours.
So we're a band from London in England, obviously in the UK. And we've been kicking around for about 5 years or so now. And we released a couple of records and put our debut record out in 2019. And then our frontman decided he was going to leave the band to pursue other things, which is obviously cool. It happens. And that's when Ollie joined for the new album Coma, which is coming out in October of this year, October 2021, on Horizon Empire Records. We're super cool. Really happy with that. We're like a metalcore sort of slash kind of rock slash pop almost in places band. So we like to try and sort of fuse lots of different things together. So it's been exciting because it's a new venture for all of us at the moment. Obviously with Ollie joining the band, and then this new record as well. So it's it's an exciting time for the City Is Ours, really. So it's definitely cool to be doing something new and fresh with Ollie.
And you were talking about your genres for a second, and who really sticks with the genre anymore these days? But that's what I loved about the first song that I heard from you guys that they sent over was Death of Me, and I was like, okay, all right. And then the shouting came in, and I was like, all right, I can get down with this.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. When we were writing this album, obviously, we actually wrote most of the records sort of between the two vocalists. So our previous vocalist Sam had left, and we were kind of putting the album together before we'd kind of Ollie joined the band almost. So it was interesting sort of writing for other people without kind of knowing what that was going to be like. So fitting it together was super weird, but I think it's kind of played into our hands in the end, really, because some of the songs on this record are heavier than anything we've ever written before. I mean, the first single we put out was called Violent, and that was kind of we sort of did like a surprise drop with that, really. Ollie didn't we didn't really tell anybody what was happening. We'd kind of press releases had gone out and stuff saying that Sam had left the band, and then we didn't really address it until we dropped that single. So it was kind of cool doing something a bit different with that. And then we dropped another single called Coma, which is arguably it's the title track of the album, and arguably the heaviest thing we've ever written. And then we just decided it would be cool to just do a complete left turn and release probably the poppiest, most radio friendly thing we've ever done after that. And really this album is kind of an amalgamation of what you were saying before, with the the idea of sort of genre boundaries and things like that kind of going out the window a little bit, I guess, for a lot of people. And we've really tried to embrace that and do something different with it. And Ollie's got this really sort of versatile Scream, which allows us to be able to sort of do some super heavy stuff and really sort of thick in places, but then also like be able to utilize a whole different area that we haven't really explored before through the sort of poppier stuff. And with some of the new music that's coming from the record and future singles, it kind of goes in even sort of different directions again. So it's been super cool being able to do something fresh and different with that. And yeah, we just hope everybody kind of sort of digs it as much as we do, really, I suppose, because we're really proud of it. So it's yeah, fingers crossed it's going to be cool.
Well, as far as I go and the people that I've shown the music to, which is a lot because I dig it, we're all really into it. So I've definitely found a new band to put on all my playlists. So
that's amazing. Thank you so much. It means a lot.
Keep those singles, get that album out sooner if you can, because I need more,
Really well, yeah. We've got new music dropping this month, and there's a lot more coming before the album. The album is released in October, so there's still a lot more to come. So don't panic, I guess.
October is a lot sooner than it sounds, isn't it?
No, and there's a lot more to come between now and then as well. So we're just getting started at this point. So it's
nice.
Yeah, it's cool. It's nice, exciting.
So Ollie, what were you up to before joining the band?
I just knew them through doing all their visuals, because my full-time job is photography and videography. So I did their music videos for the past 3 years, and I've toured with City for years as well. So I was already really good friends with them, and then Mikey told me about Sam leaving, and I've always jumped up on tour to do guest vocals just for fun, but I never really toyed with the idea of starting a new band. But when I got told about Sam leaving, I was like, send me those vocals. No, send me those demos. And then I digged it, and then it kind of just happened.
It was a very organic experience, because Ollie's kind of playing himself down a little bit there, by the way, as well, because he's a very good videographer in his own right, and has worked with some very cool bands over the years. So yeah, he's been part of our team for a long time, and we knew he had a voice in there, but never really sort of knew how good he actually was. So when he was kind of, I sort of said it as a bit of a joke at the time, sort of saying, "Oh, do you fancy kind of trying out for our band, man?" And he was like, "Yeah, I guess." Oh, okay, that's weird. And then he did the first demo, and I remember, when you get super excited, and it's you're like a kid at Christmas almost, and you just you don't know what to do with yourself. Your body just starts doing random. I literally fell off the chair in our studio. It's oh my god, we found our guy, and he's one of our team already, and we just didn't know that he could do this. So it was yeah, super cool, and obviously really nice to be able to have somebody who was already close to us and part of the sort of City team and the City family come in and do, and sort of fill. Sam left some pretty big boots to fill, to be fair, and Ollie's come in and done a great job so far. So.
Right, couldn't be a smoother transition. Sounds like
literally about as easy as it could have been. Which, when replacing a vocalist, is kind of it. Well, I assumed would be kind of the hardest thing to do, and obviously there's still differences with music and stuff like that, and that's just part and parcel of it, and nature of the beast, I guess. But in terms of the actual physical transition, it was a piece of cake, really, which is very lucky, but I'll take it.
Right, it kind of reminds me of the old rumor of Harrison Ford working as a carpenter and then stepping up as an actor.
Dude, I think, yeah. Does that make Ollie Han Solo? Does that mean I
yes?
I'm sure. There we go. It's decided. There you go, OD. Halloween is done.
Oh, is it?
It is now.
I mean,
I know what's going on. Star Wars, baby.
Or tomorrow. Wait for tomorrow, and then you'll know.
So, you guys said you have a new single coming out this month. You got a date on that?
So,
are we allowed to talk about that?
We are allowed to talk about that.
Yeah.
The new single drops on the 9th of July, which at time of recording is
Tomorrow.
Which time of release has already happened.
It's out. It's out. There's a brand
Yeah.
new song out right now, people. Yeah, the new tune is called Dangerous. And it's the 4th single from our new record. And yeah, essentially for the visuals for this one, we decided that we were going to do something. We wanted to try and do something a bit different with it. It's very different to anything we've ever released before. So we decided to host our very own wrestling event. So we, as a band, actually trained to be pro wrestlers like they do in the WWE and in AEW and TNA and all those other cool things. And decided that would be we thought that would be a hilarious idea. And then the reality of it was much more challenging than we initially thought. But yeah, Team Lunch Money, which was myself and Jamie, the bass player, took on Stu Dog, who was the guitarist Stu, and Louis, who's the drummer. And Ollie called the whole match. And I'm not going to spoil it for you as to who walked away with the gold. So head over to check it out. But you already know it was Team Lunch Money was coming out on top. So, I mean, go check it out. But yeah, I mean, we've done something totally different with it. It's been a lot of fun to do. Ollie did an absolutely killer job of putting the visuals together as well. So, yeah, go check it out. It's out now. So, yeah, Dangerous. Single number 4.
Yeah, that's funny because I don't imagine they're like, you know, I'm from the South. Like before I moved up here, like this is the most north I've been being in Kentucky. I was from Georgia, deep in the South. And there's a, you know, ma and pa wrestling ring over at every corner on Saturday nights. And I don't imagine that there's much of a wrestling scene where you guys are at.
I mean,
it was a lot of a bigger thing, like in the mid noughties, like mid 2000s. And a lot of people, I wasn't a massive fan of it. So I let the others take the reins for this video, which was terrifying. Because we got like a couple of weeks before and we had no idea what was happening. And then we were like talking to Jay because he organized everything. He like arranged the ring and like for the location we were. We didn't know what was happening. And then he was like, oh, it will be fine. And then the day before, it was fine. Like the video turned out.
There was a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of stress. But like essentially, Jamie and I were both big fans of like wrestling growing up as kids, and we used to watch it on TV and stay up late and, you know, wait for WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble and all that kind of stuff like back in the day. And no one else in the band really had that much of an interest in it, I don't think. So we came up with the idea and we were sort of like pitched it and thought, you know, everyone was going to kind of be like, no, we don't want to do that. Everyone kind of got behind it. And then we were like, now we've actually got to try and make this happen. So it was super weird, like trying to do it. But, you know, dreaming of being the next Triple H or Undertaker or Brock Lesnar as a kid, it was super cool to like actually just be like wrestlers for a couple of days. But yeah, it's tough. Like it was a really difficult, physically demanding. I thought it would be just kind of a sort of easy thing or easy-ish thing to do. Boy, was I wrong. Like, it's tough. But
Right.
We're really pleased with the way that it's come together. It's been loads of fun being able to kind of like promote ourselves in a different way and kind of get into the characters and stuff like that. It's been great. So definitely a fun one to do, and hopefully everyone who's out there enjoys it. Basically, it would be great.
Right. It reminds me, you know, I'm from Georgia, so I got a buddy in Atlanta that was an actor, and he worked for like a kind of self-funded movie about wrestling in the 90s, like a group of people that started their own ring in their backyard. And he had to train for months for that movie. And it was a little, you know, not to put any or downplay on the film itself, but it was just a couple of guys making a film, nothing professional. And they trained for months.
No, I wish we'd done a little bit more training. Because physically it was, I mean, being in the characters and and getting to do all the fun stuff like that and cutting promos and all that sort of stuff was wicked and really good fun. But the actual physical kind of, because we really wrestled, man. Like, it wasn't like there's no body doubles, there's no like, you know, camera. Well, I mean, there's a bit of camera trickery, but it's not green screen. There's no like stunt doubles. It's your boys in the band beating the crap out of each other. And,
that's always a fun thing, because, you know, they're like, you know, I love thinking about the fact that, you know, bands are their own, you know, actors in music videos, and they're not all the time actors, you know.
Absolutely, man. Like, we're just a bunch of dudes that like playing songs. So seeing particularly the guys who aren't into wrestling, 'cause Jamie and I were just living our childhood dreams essentially. But you know, beating each other up on the trampoline when we were like 8 years old or something. But like to be doing it in a proper ring and like training and sort of actually learning how to properly wrestle with guys who are, you know, the other guys in the band really don't really care about that sort of thing. So they were learning without the experience of having watched it and stuff as kids. So it was, I was just super impressed at the way that everybody kind of marked in and, you know, obviously went for it, went all in on it, and it's come out like really well. So we're really pleased with it. And hopefully everyone enjoys the main event.
I just imagine you pitching this to the other guys, and the other guys like, well, Mikey woke up and chose violence today.
Yeah, that was literally what I was like, man. I took the idea to the guys expecting them to be like, no, we're not doing that. And I thought, okay. And then it kind of got to the point where when it was actually happening, I then started being the one going, oh, I'm not sure this is actually a good idea. I was kind of like semi-joking, you know? Like, it's like, oh, we're actually going to have to like find a ring and make it look professional. And then how do we make a bunch of dudes who just write songs look like actual wrestlers? So we had to learn how to actually wrestle as well. So it was yeah, it was pretty crazy, but I mean, it's come out really well, and I can be more stable, to be honest. So very cool.
But you know, we've talked about this music video. I've been talking to a lot of people about music videos, and I've been wondering lately. Like, I know obviously you guys aren't like usually plugged in or anything recording a music video, but what is it like? Are you like actually singing? Do you have like the song playing on a boombox in the corner? Like, what's that part like?
It depends on the band, really, like on the person. Like us two, we sing it when it's playing, because you need the it's hard to fake the like expressions if I don't really know how to explain it. But yeah, and then you just blast the song loud enough to be heard over the drums, and then hopefully it's loud enough that you don't feel dumb when you're lip syncing to the track, and then usually it turns out fine. But
we take things when we shoot our videos, and every band's slightly different, and every videographer will be slightly different as well. But we tend to sort of focus on different things when we're shooting. So Ollie will say, "Oh, this one's more about energy and about, you know, making it look really good," and then we'll do certain shots where it's more about actually making sure that. So when it's like a vocal take, for example, you know, you need to be able to see that you're doing it. So in those takes, we'll do proper vocals and actually sort of sing along with the track. So the track's obviously still playing, but we're singing along with it so that it looks more sort of realistic. And then sometimes, because we can shoot things, I mean, I can't remember which video it was, but I'm sure we did like 58 takes of the same song, something silly like that.
Yeah, it was Como.
It was a lot of takes because we did it in multiple locations. So to sing it 58 times in a day, you just blow your voice out. So you have to be kind of careful about how to do it. But it's, you know, when you're headbanging over and over again and all that stuff, it's like you have to be super careful about how to sort of maintain your, you know, the physicality of what you're doing, because otherwise you're just going to get super tired and then it looks rubbish. So it's a lot more calculated than it looks a lot of the time. But yeah, we do tend to actually do proper takes so that it doesn't just look like a mouthing weirdness at people, and then it doesn't sync up right. So,
man, I can't imagine just having to do the headbanging part over and over again. I can barely do that for a solid 5 minutes, maybe at a concert all in all.
When because of the obviously the lockdowns and everything else that were going on around the world, when we shot the first video that we did, Violent, we shot that in, I think it was like September last year, 2020. So we hadn't actually been in the same room as each other for over 6 months at that point. So we finished the record just before lockdown. So the first time we'd all been in the same room together was then. And we did it over and over and over again. And I remember the next day, we were all kind of like, I like one of my legs, because I've been stood in the same position for so long and bouncing up and down and stuff, that literally my legs were like, I could barely walk. It was awful.
I'd never done it because I've never been in a band before. I've never been in the music video before. I remember waking up the next day and being like, I cannot move my neck. If I lean over, I cannot see like up at all. It's the most like, it's a lot more physically demanding than I thought. Like, 'cause half the time I'm just like, oh, well, it's not that hard. It's fine.
I think it was definitely a wake-up call for all of us that day. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's great fun to do.
For the listeners, whenever Mikey started talking about that video, Ollie's eyes just got big and his face started shaking like he was having a PTSD flashback over there.
Dude, you have no idea. It was wild.
It's because it was also a heat wave in the UK as well when we shot it as well. So after 2 takes, it was roasting. Like, it was not fun.
Pretty intense, man. But yeah, it came out amazingly. So hey ho, what can you do? We love it.
Nice. And you know, I always ask people when I have bands on, well, when I have anybody on, because we started as a nerd podcast and I nerd out about music, so naturally you can nerd out about anything. And like, you know, I'm part of this nerd group on Facebook where there's a whole side of it dedicated to wrestling. But what do you say is the nerdiest group or the nerdiest member of the band, and why?
Stu, the other guitarist, because he loves D&D. So he has D&D nights where he drinks out of a tankard, the mead out of a tankard every night. Well, not every night, every week.
Yeah, Stu is like your stereotypical. He loves D&D. He plays video games all the time. He's like,
he loves anime.
Yeah, into all that stuff. He loves things like we're all into like craft beer as well, and he gets like the weirdest craft. He literally yesterday was texting us about this craft beer that was a peanut and mango. Like,
yeah.
He was like, it's the most disgusting beer I've ever had. But he like went out of his way to try it because it was like this weird concoction, because he's that into kind of the way that it's kind of brewed and stuff. So yeah, without question, Stu is definitely the nerdiest when it comes to like things like that for sure. But he's also Shred Smith, so we love him.
You know, that peanut and mango, that gave me flashbacks of a y'all got Sonic over there, like the drive-in.
Hedgehog.
No,
Oh, no.
The hedgehog, brilliant. I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's like a drive-in restaurant where they specialize in like ice cream and shakes and stuff, and some of them, like the servers will come out on roller skates to bring you your food, right?
Yes.
And they had probably the most American and disgusting thing I could think of a few years back, and I had to try it. It was a peanut butter bacon milkshake.
What?
If anyone ever offers you a peanut butter bacon milkshake, no matter how great and American it sounds, do not try it. I didn't feel right for days, man. I couldn't think about food. That was nasty.
It sounds like the kind of thing Jay would be into. Our bass player Jay, he loves trying like when it comes to food, particularly like fast food restaurants and stuff. If they bring out something new, he'll go out of his way to like try it. And I mean, we've all done that. But he loves stuff like that. So I will definitely tell him about the peanut butter and bacon milkshakes. It sounds like something he'll be into.
Man, it was rough.
It does not sound fun. I will be honest.
I mean, you just imagine two things that taste so good by themselves. They'd only get better, but no.
It does
But-
sound horrific, I won't lie.
But so, while you guys were out with the quarantines and all, I guess, you know, one thing about over here is people were still, you know, like a lot of the bands from America that I'm talking to, they were still, you know, if their label would allow it, they were still working on music, you know, maybe not releasing it, but they were still making music. So did you guys write anything over Zoom conferences or anything like that, or was it just kind of a creative break for y'all?
So when we were doing the record, we were really lucky. Well, I say lucky. We were so Sam had left the band, and myself and the other three guys in the band who were left basically finished writing the record at the beginning of 2020, so about January 2020. And then we went into the studio to track the album instrumentally in February. And in the UK, we went into lockdown in March, basically. So we were actually in the studio. I remember being sat in the control room in the studio when the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic. So we were sat and the news came through, and we were all kind of sat there going, what does that mean? Like, we didn't even know. Like, it sounded like something from a movie, or, you know, when we see these like films where stuff like that happens, you know, it's so we were just like, we didn't even know. And obviously now, with all that being bandied around in the press and everything else, it's something that seemed so obvious. But then obviously we got Ollie in sort of just before lockdown. I think we started talking about it, didn't we? So like, it was all happening.
Yeah.
We hadn't been to the studio. So then we did have to utilize Zoom for during the first lockdown in the UK, because we've been, is it 3 now? 3 UK lockdowns?
Yeah.
So during the first one, we used Zoom and basically did all the vocal patterns for the album with Ollie, and got everything ready, and we were sending demos backwards and forwards to each other over the internet to make sure it was fine. And then in the summer, when we got let out of lockdown, myself and Ollie went to the studio. There was so many restrictions, and
Yeah, it was like it was like one of the first weeks after we were allowed out. But yeah, it was all like masks inside the studio 24/7, unless you're in a separate, like I was in a separate room to everyone else. So I was lucky, and obviously I wouldn't be able to scream into a mic with a mask on. But yeah, there was washing hands in and out, like every time you're in and out of a room, like proper, not restrictions. What's the word?
I don't know. The rules.
Yeah, rules.
We had to do to sort of make it happen and make it work. But it was kind of cool because we sort of worked through the first lockdown and then managed to finish the record in between, and then we got put back into lockdown. So that's when we started working on all the ideas for the visuals for the album and everything else, so that when we then got let out of the second lockdown, we managed to make a couple of music videos, had those, and then we got put back into lockdown again. So by the time we got to there, we kind of had everything ready. And then when we were in the third lockdown, that's when we signed the deal with the label. So we were kind of ready to go at that point to start releasing music in 2021. So it was kind of a different way of working, but it was nice to be able to actually kind of get things done. And we've worked with other people, friends of ours and stuff, that have had sort of different luck to us, I suppose you would say, with the way that they've like lost projects or not been able to do things. So we were very grateful for the fact that we were able to work through it and be able to produce something that we're really stoked with and really proud of with Confound. So it's been cool.
The 3 lockdowns and or a few different breaks you were able to work around, and you know, over here the states are all just so different. You know, like I was in Georgia for most of it, and there was a shutdown for a couple months, and then everybody in Georgia acted like it didn't exist.
Wow.
And then when I moved up to Kentucky, it was like very much so, you know, almost the peak of restrictions and stuff. Nobody was opened up still to go inside. You could go like get a tattoo still, which was lucky for me, but you had to wear a mask the entire time. And I was like, okay, but like, and then I went down and visited Georgia, from, you know, Kentucky, everybody working in home, and Georgia, everybody out and about, no masks, no nothing. It was just like the Wild West.
Dude, that sounds crazy.
It very much, it's very strange over here, but you know, everybody's almost through. It looks like, you know, things are kind of turning back to normal.
Is it all kind of open up again in America now?
Yes, and we're about to start having, I don't know about you guys, but in America, we're about to start having tours and live music and stuff start back in August.
Yeah, we've just been told the UK government have basically just, again, at time of recording, said that they think everything's going to start opening up by the end of July. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be heading out on tour in September. So cross fingers, and we'll hope for the best, and hopefully everyone around the world will get their live music back. It's it's been a long time coming for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I'm about, honestly, you know, tired of talking about it. Like, I'll talk about it because it's a huge thing that's been going on, obviously, with everybody. I mean, it's affected everybody. It's affected art. It's affected music, especially live music. But I'm just ready to get back to a concert and start talking to people about, so what was it like your first concert back? What was it like being in that energy again, you know?
So, man, yeah, I can't wait. Like, obviously, having played in the band for a long time now, it's been horrible kind of not having that outlet. That's the real outlet for us, that we are music fans at the end of the day, you know, like we want to play shows, we want to go to shows, just to be in those environments and be in the tour van. But there's an added layer now, because obviously we've not played a show with Ollie at the helm yet. So it's kind of like there's a whole exciting layer to be added of, like, you know, what's that experience going to be like, and how's it going to be different, and, you know, what we're going to do about the live show to kind of improve it and change it and things like that. So it's very exciting, and we've been working on it for a long time now, so we can't wait to get out there and finally play some shows again.
And like you were saying earlier about, you said Ollie had done a few guest spots on your shows before, but I take it, Ollie, you haven't actually done a full live concert before, right?
No, I haven't. That's something that I'm scared for. Because obviously before lockdown, we had done like one practice, like to see if I was good enough to be part of the band. And then lockdown happened. And then a year and a half later, we still hadn't done another practice, so I didn't know whether I'd be able to get through a set or anything. But now we've done a few run-throughs, I'm not as scared anymore. So I'm more excited for that sort of thing, just to be in a concert, really, just to be part of that energy. I'm so excited for. Literally, as soon as shows are allowed to be a thing again, I'm going to literally all of the local shows as possible. I cannot wait.
Absolutely. I was saying that too, but you know, I'm used to being in another state, and so up here I was like, I can't wait to go to local shows, and my cousin was like, bruh, they're all country, you don't want to. Like, you ain't gonna find music you like around here, brother. I'm like, oh, come on.
Hey man, we kick it with a bit of country in the tour band from time to time. It's cool, but obviously a bit of variety is nice as well, you know?
Like I'm going all the way out to another state in September to catch Slipknot, just to have somebody that I listen to, you know?
Kings, man, the kings of the game. I'm very jealous of you. That's amazing.
But so we've talked about all this. We've talked about the fact that there, as of the moment, aren't tours. Is there merch or anything we can do to support The City Is Ours during this time?
Yeah, I mean, so we've got pre-orders for the new album Coma are up now to be purchased, and so, you know, all of that stuff helps us out directly. Obviously, with things like streaming, anything that you know, listening to songs, streaming artists, or sharing videos, or you know, whatever it is always a great help. But you know, financially, merch is really the way to kind of directly help bands like ours. So yeah, I mean, the Coma, which is the new album, is up for pre-order now, and you can get that via our website, which is www.thecityisours.co.uk. You can also get some variants via Impericon, which is very cool. And we've got it coming out on vinyl, which is sick. And it's on CD, and there's a whole bunch of t-shirts and hoodies and some mad stuff. We got a good friend of ours, a chap called Aaron Finch, who's worked with some really cool people who designed all of the artwork and all of the merch and everything for this whole record. So we're really stoked with the way that it looks. And yeah, all of those orders are great. You know, we're very fortunate that we've had orders from people all over the world. We've sent copies of our records out previously to, you know, Japan, Australia, America, Sweden, Germany, Holland, obviously the UK. So we're very fortunate for all of those things. But yeah, I mean, in general, in City Is Ours or otherwise, the best way to support bands like ours is to go out and buy their music, and you know, get your copies on CD, or you know, your t-shirts, or whatever it is that floats your boat, really. Because you know, I think it's something silly, like I think it's 5,000 streams or something equates to like the cost of like one CD retail price. So it obviously, streaming is great, and we're always grateful for, you know, people streaming on music and stuff. I'm sure every band is, but in order to sort of survive, things like merch are really helpful. So yeah, www.cityisours.co.uk. Go pre-order yourself a copy of Coma, out October 22, 2021.
And as always, all those links just mentioned are in the description below.
Yes, dude.
But so what was I going to say? I guess I was going to ask, is there any I remember. Before we go, I wanted to ask one quick little question. You know, listening to Coma and Violent, you know, those songs hit me in a way, because I've been going through some crap lately, and I just want to know, who hurt you? Are you okay? You need a hug.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, Coma is a collection. We've always written songs. Historically, we've always written songs about like things that happen to us, the way that we feel, and yeah, like I went through some stuff in my personal life, basically, and yeah, these songs are essentially, they were kind of like my coping mechanism, I suppose. So like I didn't write all of the lyrics on the album, but lyrically there's a strong, essentially myself and Jamie, who's the bass player, we basically sat down and wrote most of the lyrics for the record. Well, I wrote all the lyrics for the record, actually. And it was just like, I was just explaining like how I was feeling about stuff. And you know, there's various emotions. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride, because there's areas where it's like there's an anger about it, and it's sort of a frustration, but then there's another area where it's like a sadness or like confusion almost, in places of sort of trying to understand like what was going on in my life and how I was feeling about things. And Jay really kind of embodied that as well, and sort of took that on board. So I very much appreciate you checking in, because yeah, I mean, it was a tough time. I'm okay, but I'm always, next time I'm in Kentucky, I could always deal with a hug, man. So like, I definitely, I could always use that hug. But yeah, it's definitely a roller coaster. But we want to try and write music that people can relate to, kind of receive in their own way. And that's why, you know, we don't like to be sort of too specific when we're talking about what things are about. It's kind of more about kind of how people are. Yeah, I wrote those lyrics in a certain way because that's how I felt, and that was how I was dealing with that situation at the time. But you might deal with it in a different way, and the next person might deal with it and relate to it in a different way. And we want
like
people.
I was saying, you know, lyrics mean something to me. Obviously, they don't mean to me what they mean to you, but that's the beauty of music, is that everybody, as long as it's not written too very specifically, everybody can kind of pull their own meaning, and it's like you said, it's a great coping mechanism.
That's exactly it, man, and that's what we're trying to do. So it's really great to hear that you're able to relate to it, and hopefully your listeners will feel the same when they wrap their ears around it if they haven't already.
All right, well, we're running out of time, so I gotta ask one last thing. Do you guys have any specific messages you'd like to give out to the fans before we go?
I think from my point of view, really, it's just a thank you to everyone who's supported us. If you're listening now and you haven't checked us out so far, go and check it out. Like I said, hopefully this new record is very varied. There should be something for everyone. If you like something that is heavy and makes you want to spin kick your grandma in a mosh pit, then there's something on there for you. If there's something that makes you want to cry and lay in your room with the lights off and a candle on, there's something for you. And there's pretty much everything in between those two emotions to kind of go with. So thank you to everyone who supported. If you want to help us out, obviously, like I said, you can pre-order the album from www.thecityyisours.co.uk. And that, like I said, that comes to us directly, and it really does help us out and help us kind of survive as a band. So that's super cool. But yeah, really, the world is opening up. We're all going to be together again soon, and it's going to be glorious. So look after each other, and we can't wait to share the rest of this record with you. Ollie, have you got anything? Because I've just been talking.
No, you said everything.
He agrees with what I said because I'm actually a genius. So there you go. Look after yourselves. Enjoy yourselves. And yeah, go and check out what's from the singles from the new record Coma, and the album is out on October 22nd.
And as always, stay saucy and make sure to spin kick your grandma. This has been the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Sturvin Michaels, featuring Mikey and Ollie of The City Is.
Am I better off without you?